This is the Reviewing Network Live, a weekly stream of consciousness recording session where I sit back with you folks out there, talk about some of the big news stories from the past week, and some other things I found that might be of amusement to you out there. I think you might get a kick out of it. Now, these are more like audio podcasts and are much longer than my usual videos and are also, for the most part, unedited and will contain some foul language. So, if you're easily offended by that, I advise you to maybe step back a bit, maybe go somewhere else. But hey, if you're up to the challenge, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Thanks. And for the 66th time ever, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Reviewing Network Live. And, well, first off, happy Thanksgiving to all of you. I hope you had a wonderful holiday weekend. On to Christmas now. We are now officially in December. Today is December 1st, of course. But, it's going to be a very interesting week in particular in terms of what I planned on doing. Because what I planned on doing originally was I was going to do a live rewatch of the Steelers-Bengals game, which I was out during the day for most of it. So I missed most of the game in general, and I only got back until the fourth quarter. So I'll talk more about that in a second. But yeah, it was not a big news week for obvious reasons because it was the holiday week and nobody was really going to put out any big news stories on Thanksgiving week. They're going to save that for this week, which kind of sucks for me because this week I've got Steel CityCon, so I got to prepare for that, and that means it's going to be more of a lesser show than per usual. But I have some things to talk about after we get through the weekend box office. So it's not going to be a very different show than usual. Because usually when there's nothing to do during the week, I usually do like a rewatch of a game on TV or just do some other things. But I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'll talk more about that in just a second. But until then, let's do what we usually do. Let's talk about the weekend box office, which was a very historic box office in general. I mean, it was a big weekend, the big holiday weekend, the first big holiday weekend of the rest of the year. Of course, Christmas is coming up in less than a month, so that's going to be another one to definitely be a big week in general. But this weekend in particular was the most significant box office weekend in a long, long time. It hit an all-time high of $420 million for the box office this weekend, which is incredible to think about. But then when you see what came out this weekend and what has come out over the last couple of weeks, it's kind of hard not to see why. So let's just delve into the top five itself here, and I'll give you an idea of what we're talking about here. Starting with number 5, and I'm gonna have the 5-day numbers out here too. Let me double check here just to see. Yeah, they are out here. So, okay, so we'll just do the 3-day weekends and the 5-day weekends for these movies in particular. So, number 5, we have The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, which 3-day weekend brought in $3.2 million. 4.5 was the percentage it dropped. It did not drop a whole lot from last week. $32 million, but if you take the 5-day weekend, the movie has brought in $4.8 million for the weekend, and it's still the same numbers for the total gross, even if I go to the next thing. So let me see if it's like that for all of them. Yeah, it's like that for all of them. So yeah, the total grosses will stay the same, but the weekend grosses will change depending on which weekend I go to here. But Best Christmas Pageant Ever, taking around in there, not really that much of a surprise in general. It is a Christmas movie, and that's why also the number 4 movie is still hanging around here, and that is Red One, which brought in $12.9 million for the 3-day weekend. 5-day weekend totals, if I can get to them. Here we go. 5-day weekend total brought in $18.7 million, bringing its gross up to $76 million. So it's making a little bit of its money back, but it still has a long way to go. It's got to make $250 million back total to make any kind of a profit. And right now it's sitting worldwide at $148 million. So, yeah, it's got a huge hill to climb at this point. By the way, Best Christmas Pageant Ever, not really making much of a dent in the worldwide box office. So that's why I didn't bring it up in general. But let's get to the 3 big holiday releases released over the last week when you really look into it. But number 3, we have Gladiator 2, which fell off of number 2 last week. $30.7 million for the 3-day weekend. If you take in the 5-day total, starting with Wednesday and Thursday, up to $44 million, bringing its 2-week gross to $111.2 million, bringing its worldwide gross to $320 million. So, making a lot of money. It's making its profit back. It's gonna make its money back overall. A sequel that I still feel like is completely pointless, but people are going out to see it. So, hey, Ridley Scott got a win. Yay. Which brings us to the number 2 movie, which was the number 1 movie last weekend, and that is, of course, Wicked, which brought in $80 million, only dropping 28% when you take the 3-day numbers into account. 5-day numbers, they are up to, I believe, over $100 million still. Yeah, $117.5 million if you take in Wednesday and Thursday, bringing its 2-week gross up to $262.4 million. A massive hit. It's already brought in $350 million in the first week alone. I finally got to see this movie this week. I loved it, man. I thought it was really enjoyable. I thought it was definitely much more than I expected it to be. And you could tell that Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo were destined to play these roles because, man, they sell it so easily. It's a great film. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with Wicked, with the second film, the conclusion of the storyline. And the marketing was definitely worth it because it definitely showed that they were really proud of this movie that they had here. And absolutely incredible movie. Not much more to say about it. But let's go ahead and get to the number 1 movie of the week, which, yes, it's not a surprise what it is, but it's more of a surprise of what the end result of this film in general was. And that is, of course, Moana 2. Now, the 3-day weekend total for this is $135.5 million. If you take in the 5-day total, it's up to $221 million. The movie has brought in so far $386 million worldwide if you take in the international numbers. And the budget for this movie is unknown because Disney doesn't want to reveal the fact that this was literally just a movie that was literally supposed to be a. They don't want to admit. They don't want to keep hiding the fact that this was originally supposed to be a Disney Plus TV series that they trimmed down at the beginning of the year to make a sequel, and America bought it. Not only did America buy it, but the world bought it because Moana is a popular brand, and this just goes to show you that people do not give a shit about quality anymore because they made this movie a blockbuster hit, and it really should not be because, my God, this was not a good movie. This was a very, very disappointing film, to say the least. And I can't really say it's one of the worst movies of the year, but it is definitely a film that is just so, just the way it came together. It still baffles me how people were suckered into this movie. Like they took everything that made the first movie so special, just took it out of there, and gave us a cheap, lazy cash grab sequel that is just. It's amazing how they went this low. I mean, Disney, I expect better from you. You don't go this low very often, but this is probably the lowest you've gone in a long, long time. And yet there are people who are still okay with this because it's just like, well, we had the Disney direct-to-video sequels back in the day. This is basically just that on the big screen. Why can't you just accept that? Because when you're saying that there's going to be a Moana 2, I'm not expecting a movie that was trimmed down from multiple episodes of a television series that you're not going to do anymore, and you just had to do this. We all know why Disney did this. Because they didn't make any money on their animated movies during the pandemic. I'm not talking about the Pixar movies. The only movie they made money from their animation studios was Encanto, and even then, it wasn't a Frozen or Moana type of hit. It was a film that found its legacy early on thanks to Disney Plus because it was still being released shortly after the pandemic. But those movies that they did during is between Raya and the Last Dragon and Strange World and Wish. They weren't even bad movies, but people didn't want to bother with any of them, and so they ended up not making any money. And but everyone will flock to this because it's Moana, and we don't care if we're looking for a story that expands on the film. If you give us the same stuff we've seen before, it'll be perfectly fine. And yeah, that may be perfectly fine for some people, but I'm sorry, I gotta call your bullshit out. And this is coming from somebody who will defend Disney to a T. I've seen so many movies done by Disney that a lot of people don't like it. I've defended to the end. I can't defend this movie by any means necessary. This is the one where I have to say, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. And I delved into my review for this film, and yeah, it's about pretty much what I'm saying here. The movie is not great. It's not a good movie whatsoever. In fact, if Despicable Me 4 hadn't been released this year, this would be the worst animated sequel of the year. Maybe the worst animated movie of the year. But unfortunately, Despicable Me 4 exists. So yeah. Bottom line, I didn't like the movie. Apparently, I'm alone because the cinema score for this is an A-, which means that most of the world loved it. So that basically means that I'm, and this really isn't that big of a deal anymore, but I'm the odd man out. Like, I have to be the one that has to tell people, this is not a good movie, and everyone else is going to be like, so? Like, it sucks to be you. Like, we enjoyed it. And it's like, yeah, you enjoyed a mediocre piece of garbage that shut your kids up for 2 hours. That's all this movie really is. This is, like, they took everything that made the first Moana so special and just cut it into pieces. Quite literally cut it into pieces. But everyone bought it because, hey, it shut their kids up for an hour and a half. So yeah, take that for what you will. But we might as well go ahead and delve into the box office records for Moana 2, because just like with Wicked last week and with Barbie last year, there is a list of all the records this movie broke. So let's dive into this, shall we? This is from Deadline Hollywood and their page, and it says, let's start with the domestic. Domestic right now, highest 5-day opening of all time, surpassing the Super Mario Brothers movie at $204.6 million. Highest Thanksgiving weekend of all time by far, surpassing Frozen 2's holdover take of $125 million 5-day. Which, by the way, also Frozen 2, like, Frozen 2 deserves an apology from you people, because Frozen 2 at least did something more than just give us the same movie over and over again. Like, it was a good sequel that actually evolved the storyline. But no. We didn't love this, but no, we hate it now because the first Frozen movie was overhyped to death, and just like, no, I'm sorry. Frozen 2 deserves a massive apology from you people out there. Highest Thanksgiving debut so far, more than doubling Frozen's $94 million 5-day and $67 million 3-day. The best Thanksgiving Day take of all of $28 million, nearly doubling the prior record of $15 million for Frozen 2. The highest ever Black Friday at the box office for $54.5 million, exceeding Frozen 2's $34 million. Record opening for a Walt Disney animated movie, beating Frozen 2's $130 million. At $13.8 million, it's the best preview figure ever for a Walt Disney animation title, the best ever for Tuesday for Disney before Thanksgiving, ahead of Ralph Breaks the Internet, and the second highest preview figure for an animated movie behind Incredibles 2. It's the first time a Hollywood star has 2 number 1 openings in a calendar month, with Dwayne Johnson. He had Red One earlier in the month, as well as Moana 2. The second best 3-day opening for Dwayne Johnson, behind Furious 7's $147 million opening. Fourth highest opening for a musical at the domestic box office after The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, and Barbie. Disney now holds the top 7 Thanksgiving debuts of all time, and 9 of the top 10. Worldwide, second biggest global debut of 2024 year to date, after Deadpool and Wolverine's $444.7 million. At $300.8 million, the third biggest opening for an animated movie after the Super Mario Brothers movie and Frozen 2. Third biggest opening for a musical after Beauty and the Beast and Barbie. And international numbers, second highest international opening behind Deadpool and Wolverine of the year. Second highest international animated opening of the year behind Inside Out 2. Highest animated opening weekend of all time in France, Poland, UAE, Qatar, Oman, Egypt, Lebanon, Nigeria, Serbia, and Turkey. Second highest animated weekend of all time in Italy and Brazil, as well as the Netherlands, Indonesia, Kazakhstan, Romania, Saudi Arabia, Slovakia, and Bosnia. And the highest Walt Disney Animation opening weekend of all time across the Latin American region, including France, Italy, Australia, Brazil, and Mexico, as well as Netherlands, Poland, Bahrain, Egypt, Hungary, Israel, Jordan, Kazakhstan, Kuwait, Lebanon, Oman, Portugal, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Slovakia, Turkey, UAE, Argentina, Central America, Peru, Ecuador, Chile, and Uruguay. All for this movie. All for this movie. I don't get it. I really, really do not get why this movie turned out to be the big hit that it was, because it just goes. It's just basically telling Disney we want more of this. I'm hoping Zootopia 2 is not just a movie that's gonna be basically a rehash of stuff that they had before, like shorts or TV series that never got off the ground. I'm hoping that this is just a one-time thing, and like Zootopia 2 is not gonna be like that with the next which that comes out next Thanksgiving. I'm hoping that's not the case, but even so, this is gonna lead to a lot of bad things going forward. It's basically gonna tell animation studios out there, we don't want a good story anymore. We just want to see our favorite characters again, and we'll buy anything you give us. And yeah, that's why I'm really upset about this whole thing, because this is basically Hollywood saying, fuck originality, fuck actually telling a story and expanding on the characters that we saw beforehand, and just give us the same stuff we see before, and we'll eat it up like hotcakes. Like we'll eat it up like whatever metaphor you want to put out there. But yeah, bottom line, I'm more negative about this than most people will be positive about this. I mean, yeah, you made a ton of money off of a movie that really shouldn't have even existed as a movie. It should have just been a television series, and this is the end result of it. But I don't know, man. But probably be #1 movie again next weekend too, and maybe even the weekend after that. I don't think there's anything going to be really combating it until we get to the double whammy on the weekend before Christmas with Sonic and the Hedgehog 3 and Mufasa the Lion King, which that should be the Barbie Oppenheimer is that everyone should be talking about, not Wicked and Gladiator 2. But I digress. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next thing I want to bring up here. So, as I mentioned before, it is not a very busy week in terms of news in general, and that's kind of left me in a little bit of a spiral to talk about some stuff this week. But how was your Thanksgiving week? I'll start with that. Thanksgiving was very interesting this week. This year in particular is very different than usual because I don't have any grandparents to go to during the holidays anymore. My grandmother passed away at the end of February. We had the funeral in early March. And so this year we're doing things obviously very differently. We're not going over to my grandmother's for Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas either. So we brought the family here, just immediate family, just like mostly my parents, my sister, and my brother-in-law. And yeah, it was weird. Like, it was a weird feeling having everybody here eating dinner in my home, which is very weird because I don't live in a big house. I live in an apartment complex, pretty equivalent to an apartment complex, pretty much. And yeah, because I have so much stuff in this house, we had to move some stuff around. And we had a Thanksgiving dinner. We ate on Thursday. We were all sitting there watching the Cowboys and the Giants eating Thanksgiving dinner, and it was very interesting. It's a weird feeling, you know. You're used to doing something every single year. It's part of your tradition, and now, you know, the main person behind those traditions people behind those traditions are no longer there anymore, and so it's just like, what do you do now? And so this is something that we're starting a new tradition here now, and I don't know what's going to happen with Christmas overall, but probably going to do the same thing. If not, go over to my sister's place. But I'm bringing this up because, you know, I'm talking about traditions, and, you know, one of the old traditions I used to have was going out to the mall on Black Friday or Thanksgiving weekend, the weekend after the Thanksgiving holiday, and, you know, going shopping, getting ready for Christmas and all that, because yeah, Black Friday is the official start of the holiday shopping season. The official start of the holiday shopping season. Even though we do it weeks in advance. I mean, TV ads start showing up before Halloween, for God's sakes, and even before then, all the stores are already decked out in holiday gear. And yeah, this year it really doesn't feel the same way. Like, it felt like a lot of the stores really did not. I don't know if it was just me or not, but not a lot of the stores really seem to care about Black Friday anymore. I don't know if it's just because of just the last couple of years weighing everybody down. Of course, money is an issue for a lot of people, finances, that type of stuff. You know, people, health issues, a lot of that. Like, I don't know if it's just the way the world is right now, but it just feels really, really odd this year. Like, it feels very different than usual. Now, I did go out today. I went out to Ross Park Mall, which I did record some footage of the very few little bits of Christmas that was in the mall. Because even in the mall, like, it doesn't feel like the malls are really decking themselves out with Christmas anymore. Like you go into the mall, there's decorations all over the place. But if you were around like 10, 20, like if you went to the mall is at least 10 plus years ago, the malls would be decked out with holiday gear. And this year just feels like, at least from Ross Park Mall that I went to, it really did feel like there was not really a whole lot of like massive holiday decorations within the mall itself. Now, I went into Nordstrom, and they had some holiday decorations all around. I think they were the only ones who really had a good plethora of decorations all over the place. And also in Dick's House of Sport. We have Dick's House of Sport in our area, which I went to for the first time. And yeah, it's a really cool setup, by the way. If you ever been out to Ross Park Mall and go to this Dick's House of Sports, it's really much more impressive than you think it is. It's a Dick's sporting goods store, but at the same time, it's also like you get all these different activities you can do. There's a rock climbing thing you could do there. You can go outside and go ice skating. There was an ice skating rink they were setting up out there for a special event for the holidays, and perfect weather too, because it's like 25 degrees today for the temperature. But you can also go practice your golfing. You can go and putt. There's an area where you can test out the baseball batting cages. They have all these specific set areas where you can like take pictures. Like you can take pictures with a mannequin disguised as a Pirates player. Like I was coming down the elevator, and there's like two on each side. One was like the Pirates player on the mound. It was a mannequin, and then on the other side there was a Penguins goalie with like I think it was little kids on the next to it. And if you look real closely on the steps going down, you can see on the Pirates side it says "Let's go Bucks," because of course the Pittsburgh Pirates, and then "Let's go Pens" for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And then you walk around the store and you see all these different cool little things that they put in there. Like you have mannequins dressed up like Steelers players, and then you got these weird things. Like there's a section where you can buy autographs for various people. Like you can buy a Jerome Bettis autograph or a Troy Polamalu autograph. You can get Sidney Crosby's 500th goal for like $50 because they had that over at a Rivers a Rivers Casino sponsored thing. And was it 500 or 5,000? I'm thinking it's 500. I was close. 600 goals was what it was. It was the 600th goal, and they had like these little crystal hockey pucks where you can get one for $50. And I could have bought one of those easily, but yeah, you had that. You also had just all these really cool little things they have there. Like they're setting up for Christmas. They have a Christmas tree that was literally a tree with like footballs as the ornaments, and I thought that was pretty cool. Like the tree looked like it was literally made out of footballs. But you also had there was a wreath that was made out of tennis rackets, and it's a really, really cool looking place. And like I said, if you live in the Western Pennsylvania area, out near Pittsburgh, and you haven't been to Ross Park Mall, go to that Dick's House of Sports, because it's actually a pretty cool place. Even if you don't go in there to buy anything, you can go in there and just take a look at what they have in there and just be like, wow, this is really impressive stuff. But the point I was trying to make here is that, this year has been very tough on me in particular because of so many things that happened in my life. Of course, I lost a member of my family. I got really, really sick a couple of times this year, most notably in the spring. It was literally right after my grandmother passed away when I got really bad food poisoning, and you can't really cancel going to your grandmother's funeral for that. So I had to power through that, and that was rough on my body, but I got through it. I did okay with nobody ever really noticing about that. In fact, most of them will probably hear this for the first time and realize that, wait, he had food poisoning at that time? Like, yeah, that's what happened. And just other things in particular, just other things in general, just felt really depressing to me. Okay, depressed is way too much. I'm not suicidal in any way, shape, or form, and I'm not making fun of anybody who is suicidal, which I should be doing that, but deflating is what I want to say. Like, the year in particular, just little things that keep happening deflate me a little bit. Like, I just feel like, I don't know, I mean, this has been just a really, really off year for so many different things, and I really didn't know. I really didn't know how, because I really don't know how to personally, like, get that out there. Like, how do I? It's like I don't want to go see like a shrink or tell them my problems or anything, because I have people in my life who have gone to shrinks and therapists, and they said that it doesn't really help them all that much. But I mean, what do I really want to say here? Like, I just felt like this year in particular, you're just feeling it all over the place. Like, it just feels like a lot of things that I'm so used to doing are just being slowly but surely taken away from me. Like, not only family members, not only things that keep me from doing my work, but like the whole thing with Best Buy this year, the whole thing about them getting rid of like their movie section. Why? Their Target's getting rid of their movie section in some stores. Why? I mean, I don't get that. I don't get that, because that's a big part of your income being taken, is you're just willing to let go. And I haven't been to a Best Buy on a regular basis in a long, long time. I've only been there one time since they got rid of the movie section. One time. And they took out the movies in like it was like around late March, early April. And it's just like, I just like, I have no idea why they got rid of it. Like, you could make the argument, we don't, is like, if like movies aren't selling, you could say that movies aren't selling anymore, but I know a good amount of people that still go out and buy movies. I still buy movies, even though it's really hard for me to buy movies, because now I gotta worry about my finances and all that, making sure that I have money to go out and eat, go out and get some stuff that I need to get through life and everything, that type of stuff. But yeah, that type of thing really bugs me. But like, I guess this is more of like a grievance type of thing. I mean, maybe you could call this an early Festivus, if you will. But the airing out of grievances. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, me personally, like, I mean, I've been feeling mostly deflated for most of the year. Like, things just keep happening that just suck the life out of me. But then there's little brief flashes of things that happen that it's just like, don't give up on yourself. What is it? What was what line said at the end of A Boy Named Charlie Brown? Did you notice something, Charlie Brown? The world didn't come to an end. And just got to go off of that front. Or even just last night, I was watching Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and it got to the song Cheer Up Charlie, which was a song I used to forget about as a kid. But as the time has gone on, and I listened to that song again recently, it's just like, this song is much more of an uplifting thing than I needed, than I could have ever imagined. And this might be rambling to some people, but just a weird feeling overall. Like, I love Christmas. I love the holiday season. I love the cold weather. I mean, this is my favorite time of the year, and I'm going into this very much is more underwhelmed than like really, really depressed right now. More deflated because of how the year has been. But I'm hoping that little things are going to go my way again as the year comes to an end and going forward. So yeah, again, just doing this mostly because there was not a whole lot of stories to talk about this weekend. I needed some filler for a particular segment here. So I do have one other thing I want to talk about here, and this is basically kind of a little announcement for something that I'm going to be working on for next year. So for this particular segment, I want to start off by saying thank you guys so much for watching the 70 Years of the Tonight Show full-length documentary that is on the main Reviewing Network YouTube channel. I think we're coming up now on close to 1,000 views for that since it debuted on Thursday. And these segments have been out for a little bit now, but now the full movie is out, available for you to watch on the Reviewing Network YouTube channel, and a lot of people are tuning into it, so I'm really happy for that. I'm really glad you guys are enjoying it, and I've talked about doing more of these, full-length documentaries going forward, and I've kind of teased an idea about doing a Saturday Night Live documentary for the 50th anniversary next year, but I am still gonna probably do that. But before I do that, though, there is something else I came up with this idea literally last night, and I figured, you know what? This makes a whole lot of sense, because I have an idea for a little documentary film. Documentary film very similar to 70 Years of the Tonight Show, except not in like these short segments that are going to be put together in one movie. This will be one full-length film one full-length video, if you will, not really a film. But I just thought to myself, a show that I really like is about to turn 20 years old next month, and it features a guy that I think is very funny. I think is very, very talented. I've seen a lot of great stuff of him involved in it, and I see that this is coming up to around the 20th anniversary, and this guy's work definitely deserves a lot of attention. That definitely deserves to be recognized. He's done a lot of great stuff. What I'm trying to say is that he's done a lot of great stuff that definitely deserves to be talked about. And if you don't have an idea of what it is I'm talking about here, let me just go ahead and play the intro to the show that he's most known for here, so you can get an idea of who I'm talking about. Okay, so if you couldn't figure it out, it's Craig Ferguson, and I figure, you know, with the Late Late Show celebrating its 20th anniversary next month, and considering that the Late Late Show was pretty much the last late night talk show that I can remember that was so unique and so different than any other late night show around, why not do a Craig Ferguson documentary? And that's what I'm announcing here. I'm working on a Craig Ferguson documentary for 2025, and I'm doing it mostly because of, one, my love of the Late Late Show, which was a great show when Craig Ferguson took over. Not so much when James Corden took it over, but there's a lot of interesting stories centering around what Craig Ferguson did and what he did with that particular show. Because not only did he reinvent the whole idea of late night television as a whole with that show, but it was a show that was not afraid to do stuff that was completely different and do stuff that was incredibly unique and notable in many different ways. Like, of course, this is the show where, Craig Ferguson went on to a show where everyone else was talking about, Britney Spears and all that he decided not to do that, and instead decided to put the focus on one show, mostly on the fact that he was relieved that he was 15 years sober, and he talked about his struggles with addiction as almost nearly killing himself. Like, things like that, like stuff that you don't usually see with a late night TV host nowadays. And not only that, the comedy, which works so well with him, like the way that he just takes the silliest, stupidest concepts whatsoever and just makes a show that is just as chaotic and weird and bizarre and hilarious as it is, like the Late Late Show was. Like, it definitely is a show that needs to be mentioned and talked about more, and a show that I think definitely deserves much more of an attention, that really, really deserves to be put together into this thing that I'm working on. So that's something I'm going to be working on going forward into 2025. After the holidays are over, I'm going to start putting together the Craig Ferguson documentary, which is currently untitled. I literally have a paper that literally says Craig Ferguson Documentary 2025 on the Reviewing Network. That's literally what I wrote last night, because I just got this idea. I'll get these ideas sometimes, like the Wasteland project that I've been talking about. I literally came up with the idea for Wasteland from a dream that I had, and I remember waking up in the middle of the night, grabbing a piece of paper and saying Wasteland, and then drawing what I thought what a poster would look like for it. Like, that's how I remembered working on that, and that's how I wrote the script for that. But that's kind of how this came together. So I'm working on a Craig Ferguson documentary for 2025, and don't have the specific dates on it yet, on when it's actually going to get done, but my plan is to have it out sometime in 2025. So definitely looking forward to doing that. But is there anything else I really want to talk about, or can we just go ahead and wrap this up for today? No, I think we're done this week. So let's go ahead and wrap this up by taking a look at recommendations for the week. And needless to say, there are a lot of really good recommendations coming out this week. Two of the biggest ones, no question about it, Alien Romulus, which I've got the steelbook coming through the mail that I ordered through Amazon, so I'm definitely looking forward to getting my hands on that. And the 4K slip for that actually looks pretty cool, so I might double dip on that one. But I know I'm getting the steelbook coming in the mail this week, so the next Movie Stop episode after the Comic-Con, I'll definitely show that off. But even bigger than that is probably one of my favorite, probably up there high with my favorite movie of the year. I think it is my favorite movie of the year. The Wild Robot is finally getting it released on Blu-ray this week, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting my hands on that. Some other things in particular: South Park: The End of Obesity, the latest Paramount Plus special, is coming out, and this is coming out on DVD this week after the last one, Not Suitable for Children, came out last month. And then there's these, which I'm hoping comes out in a regular Blu-ray set, because I've not been able to find a regular pre-order for these just in the Blu-ray. It's always the 4K sets, like Loki Season 2, Ashoka Season 1, The Mandalorian Season 3, and Hawkeye Season 1. I have the other sets in regular Blu-ray sets, but unfortunately, I've not been able to find a pre-order for the regular Blu-ray set. So hopefully I can find them in stores. Like maybe if I go to Walmart this week, I can find it there, but I don't know. Like I don't know if they're just abandoning the regular Blu-ray release for these, or just going straight to 4K, but it feels weird why they're not out there. But I'm trying to see what else is out there. Shaun of the Dead's getting a nice looking steelbook as well. A lot of catalog titles: Galaxy Quest, Congo, Pulp Fiction's getting a steelbook release. Legend of the Fall is getting a 4K debut, as is The Gift. Last Starfighter's getting a 4K release. Anything else? House is coming out on Blu-ray, the complete series of the Hugh Laurie show. Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire is getting a new release. But other than that, though, that's about it. I think the biggest ones to recommend this week are obviously Alien Romulus and The Wild Robot. And, yeah, that's about it. So, yeah, this isn't as long as my usual videos, and I'm sorry for that if you like long form videos. But if you like shorter form videos and want to hear more from a personal perspective, instead of me just running down all the news stories and giving my quick thoughts on them, like, this is for you people out there, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see some other episodes I've done, check out the last video I did for the Reviewing Network Live. Check out the playlist as well. And with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. And like I said before at the beginning, Steel City Con's coming up this week, so next week will probably be a more truncated show. I'm hoping that this week coming up will not have any massive news stories to talk about, but considering that the last time I did Steel City Con, D23 was happening, and I did a full show on that, I'll work through it. But my plan is for it to be a very shortened show, just leaking box office, the recommendations, maybe a story here or there if I find one that I feel like can be lengthwise in talking about it. But other than that, though, if you enjoyed this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, check out some of the other episodes I've done, and hit that notification button, because you get updates on when new videos come out, and we post on these channels every day. So if you want to watch more of these videos, hit our channels, check out the stuff we've done before. It's more than worth it. But with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and I will see you guys on next week's show. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Until then, we are out.